Hi, everyone. Hi, Viktor.
Hey everyone. Hey Alois.
Hey, so glad to have you there today. We are on a great live about a subject, a really warm subject. If I can, if I can say, we will talk about how social warming can help you be the great ignorer with Viktor Hatfaludi. I'm Eloise from La Grosse Machine, community builder and partnership at La Grosse Machine. La Grosse Machine is the sales automation tool, and this event is powered by our community, the playground that I built for La Grosse Machine a few months ago. And I'm super excited to have by my side Viktor today, that I will let introduce himself. But yes, he's an advisor of the playground, and really glad to having you with us, Viktor.
Yeah, glad to be here, and thanks for the warm welcome. So for everyone, most of you, I don't think you'll know me. I'm Viktor, based in Central Europe. I have more than 10 years of experience running the full sales cycle, both at large international companies, but also at early stage startups. Throughout my career, I've always been responsible for building and closing my own pipeline. And then later on, when at my last company, I was promoted to sales manager to build out the European sales team, the closing team specifically. And in the past 2 years, I've been working with early stage startups and SMBs to help them get started with direct sales so they don't go through the same mistakes that people tend to make and suffer with low response rates, for example, or losing deals prematurely. So that's the short introduction about me. And I'll share my screen to see what we're actually going to cover today and what you can expect by the end of this call. If you have questions, Eloise will be monitoring the chat. So,
Yes.
So feel free to jump in there with questions, and then we'll answer them periodically.
Yeah, exactly. So you will have a chat section on the right corner. You also can ask, yes, your question, or just adding nuances, or completing what Viktor is presenting. It's really interesting for us to have more clues about your use case, your challenges, what you are facing, and we will try to talk, to discuss, and to help you through this webinar. Viktor, I let you deep dive in the great presentation that I already seen, and I'm really excited to share with the audience.
Cool, let's do this. One of the challenges with coming up with today's topic was La Growth Machine is great for running multi-channel outbound campaigns, and there's a lot to consider when talking about multi-channel outbound to build pipeline. A very small part of that is social warming. So today, I wanted to talk about what we are going to cover and what you can look into from previous sessions hosted by others at La Growth Machine. Today, we're not going to be covering how to find prospects, how to write effective messages using AI for outreach. We're not going to be talking about how to build multi-channel campaigns, nor how to nurture leads with content. These are all important when setting up campaigns, and some of them are important to social selling as well. So wherever a topic is important for social selling, like nurturing leads with content, absolutely crucial. I've added links to useful materials throughout this PowerPoint presentation, which will be shared with you hopefully after today's session, so you can look into those. Today, we're going to cover how to run social warming campaigns and what are all the elements that are necessary for them to be successful, why we're doing it, like building familiarity, or why aren't people accepting our connection requests. Typically it has to do something with trust. And even after we've built our list, in, let's say, LinkedIn Sales Navigator in today's use cases, how do we import them to the growth machine, and how does LGM take care of that social warming automatically for us? That's what we're going to cover today. But you might be asking, what's the deal with social selling? And you might have a couple of questions on top of mind, like, is social selling really worth it if my target audience is on LinkedIn? I get this question a lot. Or if I use social selling, can I finally get rid of cold calling because I hate cold calling, or I'm constantly facing issue with data, for instance? Or how soon before I start realizing results from social selling? These are some of the questions that we'll cover throughout this presentation. But as always, if you have additional questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. So, and specifically, there are 3 really cool features I love about LGM, like being able to import almost any type of lead into your campaigns. They've recently released a really cool feature for waterfall enrichment, so you can consolidate your tech stack more, save on your tech stack expenses. And what I really love about it when putting together my multi-channel outbound campaigns is I get to actually map the decisions that I'd make throughout my outbound campaigns. Why is that important? You wouldn't automate something. So the only reason you would automate something in your outbound campaigns if you would do the exact same thing over and over again. If it isn't, then if that isn't the case, you shouldn't be automating those type of actions. So what I love about LGM is I actually get to map my decisions so I can automate more of the activities that I'm doing. So I get to focus on other parts of my business too. Should we wait for the poll to finish in this case, Eloise? I see that there's a poll right now. If everyone takes a look on, are you already running social warm-up campaigns? This lets us know how much we should dive deep into the topic, or how high level the next slides should be.
So we have 80% of people saying, nope, but I want to start it.
Cool. Love the enthusiasm then. Let's crack on in the meantime. Ideally, this is one example of how a social or a multi-channel outbound campaign could look like. What I like to see is, if this is the first time you're interacting with LGM, for instance, I like to set up my steps where the x-axis is the timeline, and then the vertical, the y-axis is all the activities that are being done on one given day. So all of these tasks, if you're seeing my mouse, get done on the first day. This on the second time I'm reaching out. This is the third time I'm reaching out. So there's always multiple touches when I'm reaching out. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. What I've seen from this specific campaign that I just showed you, I ran it for 250 prospects, and reply rates were 8%. You could say that's average, which is pretty close to the average. And the positive reply rates were also pretty average, comes down to about 1%. Now, you might look at this and say, cool, so let's just 10x emails, right? And if I reach out to 2,500 prospects, that probably books me enough meetings to fill my pipeline. But the problem is that AI has made sending personalized emails so easy that people's inboxes are full. And the higher up the ladder you go, the more difficult it is to reach out, even if your outreach is super personalized. So you need a different way to stand out. Now, luckily, there are 3 things we can do to boost our reply rates, 2 of which are usually self-explanatory when doing cold outreach, which is your message has to be relevant, it has to be timely, it has to be new. But there's another thing, one specific thing that social selling can help you with, and social warm-up campaigns can help you with, which is familiarity with the sender. If someone doesn't know who you are, doesn't have a reason to trust you, and this is the first time you're popping up in their inbox, they might not even open your email if it's not relevant. But even if it's relevant, what's their reason? What would be a reason for them to reply to you? However, if they are familiar with, if the recipient is familiar with the company name that you're referencing, or your name specifically, or at least it rings a bell, they're much more likely to at least open your email. And if your email is relevant and timely, you're much more likely to get a response. That's where social warming comes into play. Now, what are the things that we can do to build relevance? I have a link to a resource on how to build your personas. If you map what your personas care about, um, then um, then it's much more likely to be read. Whenever you're building your lists, you want to look for triggers. You've seen that a lot if you're following LinkedIn and other thought leaders, focusing on looking for triggers to base your outbound campaigns on. But then familiarity is about getting in front of the people as much as possible. And one of the best ways to do that is land in the notification section. So some of the do's and don'ts of social selling that I've seen people make as mistakes, for instance, a lot of I don't accept most of the connection requests I get on LinkedIn. Why is that? Either the social media profile of that person is salesy, so I'm sure that if I accept this connection request, within 5 minutes I'm going to get a pitch slap. Immediate no, I'm not interested in having those type of interactions. There's no personalization in the connection. And I know that there are two camps here. One saying always send a blank connection request, or always personalize your connection request. I'm pro personalization just because there's a lot of pitch slapping going on, but we're not going to get into how to personalize this connection request. It's not the topic of today. Another mistake to avoid is connecting and pitching, sending long emails which will never get read, or just plain asking for something without having provided value. So we're going to do the opposite when doing our social warming campaigns. We will start off with building a social profile that is trustworthy, and I'll show you what that could look like. I always send a personalized message, and in the examples that we're going to run in the next 5 minutes, or 5 minutes later, we'll show you exactly what are some messages that I use when conducting my outreach campaigns, or the social selling part at least. We will use nurturing, and specifically content-led nurturing, to build that trust around our personal brand. So people are much more likely to engage with us. And if we do use in-mails, treat it more like voicemail. It's another channel where you can pop up and your face can be seen. Point is, we want to show buyers that they're better off with you than without you. So what are the 4 steps or 5 steps to creating good social warming campaigns? And so, but before we jump into that, actually, one important thing that I forgot to include on the slide: what is the goal of social selling? The goal of social selling is to build more of your pipeline from approaches like near bounding, which is a warm way to land deals, rather than just increasing volume so that cold outreach works for us. That's the main goal. But how do we do that? It's a lot of it has a lot to do with building relationships. So one of the questions that tends to come up: how long before I can start seeing results from my outreach campaign or these social selling campaigns? For me personally, it's 2-3 months from the first interaction to maybe creating pipeline. And so it's definitely not a short-term way to build pipeline. If it's short-term you want, I recommend picking up the phone, because that's still, cold calling is still the fastest way to build pipeline. So what we're doing here is building that upfront familiarity and trust with our target group and audience, so that once, let's say, we see someone we want to reach out to and we have a mutual connection who we've built trust with, we can ask for a referral, or we can ask for information we can use to personalize an email, so that now that we're reaching out to a new prospect, that cold email has a chance to stand out in the sea of spam emails that they get. But the first thing we have to do for all this is know exactly the pain that our personas are facing and how it shows up in their world. Because people don't care about features, they don't care about your product, you or your company. They care about one thing. They have a job to do, and they're asking themselves, how can you help me do it better, faster, or easier, so I get to leave work on time and spend that time with family, or I can promotion faster? That's the only thing they care about. Now, that's what you need to focus all of your outreach and your content on. So now that we know our personas, before we start reaching out, we need to make sure that they don't get the impression that they're going to get pitched in the 5 minutes that they accept our connection request. So the first thing is building a trustworthy social presence. And I'll just pull up my profile as an example. We want to make it clear what is the benefit that they get by interacting with us at all. Give them an incentive. And what I love here, this is the only thing I'm going to call out. If you're nurturing people with content, anytime you leave a comment under a post or when you're posting, this first roughly 80 characters will always show up in the comments. So you want to make that as an incentive on why someone should visit your profile. Once someone visits your profile, that's a warmer way to interact with someone. So in my case, you can get all my frameworks for free that I've already made public. I get a lot of profile visitors from this, and that is a great way to grow my follower base. And then, of course, yes.
Yes, it's really interesting, this part. We have a question in the chat of Mokhtar asking how to build authority on social networks to better stand out. And I think this is the first step, having a trustworthy profile.
Yes. Half of it is the profile. So once someone interacts with you or comes across your profile, do you look like someone who knows what they're talking about? So part of that is looking the part. And then the second part, which we'll talk about in 2 steps later, which is building content or sharing content regularly that helps your buyers get their job done better, faster, easier. So if you can do that, share actionable tips, whoever your personas are, whether they're developers, product people, sales, finance people, whoever they are, show them that you are familiar with their problems. You have helped others already overcome them. That's where customer success stories and other forms of social proof come into play. And share content regularly that reminds people on who should be their go-to person if they are facing that problem or if they had enough of facing that problem. That's my short answer. Do we have any other questions in the chat regarding this?
Regarding this, no, Mokhtar, just confirm us if you have all the clues you are looking for. And I have a question that sometimes we are facing. It's about the pages on LinkedIn. What do you think? Is it a gadget, or do we have to take this badge? Like
the badges. I personally don't care about the badges. So what we've seen, this is a bit off topic, so I'm going to keep it short. If you've been following LinkedIn's feature updates in the past year, they started introducing, I think, these orange badges or brown badges a year ago, and how it evolved this year is LinkedIn started integrating AI into comments, so you can just click a question, an AI-generated question or prompt, and get more insights into the topic that was posted. So a lot of my assumption is that whoever contributed to these LinkedIn articles contributed to LinkedIn's knowledge base, and now AI can be used to get more context around whatever post you're reading. A lot of times I see hallucination happening there. So I personally don't care about these brown badges. Plus they're temporary. So if you have it helps that you build authority. Good. I personally haven't contributed once to these LinkedIn articles because they're temporary, and I'm much better off building relationships than building a knowledge base for a tool that is going to provide only temporary benefits to me.
Yeah, and also I published a poll and on the Playground community, and they told me the certified badge doesn't change anything about the reach. So
then there's no real benefit at all. So I'm going to keep skipping that. But just so we're on time, and I want to make this today's masterclass as practical as possible. So we only have roughly 5 minutes left of slides, and then we're going to jump into a practical end-to-end workflow on how you can run your first social warming campaign. But first step was profiling your personas. What do they care about? That's what you're going to focus all your messaging, all your outreach on. Second step, look the part so they don't reject or don't ignore your connection request when you do send one, whether it's blank or personalized. And of course, if someone does come to your profile, make sure that you can grab some leads from that. So having some form of lead magnet, which is not to book a call. No one's going to book a call from you unless they want to sell to you. Then they're going to book a call. Apart from that, give something of valuable that you can also track. Then, still part of your profile, make sure that your value proposition is clear. Who are you for? Why should they care? What do they benefit? And that's all I'm going to say about that. Now that we are looking the part and we know how to communicate, let's find the right prospects. Again, this isn't something that we're going to talk about, but it is an important step to running any campaign. So I left my top 30 prospecting lists that I use LinkedIn Sales Navigator for. You can grab this for free via this link after you get the slides. Now that we have our lists, let's run these social selling campaigns for one specific reason: become a familiar face. Because then later on, once you send that cold email or when you cold call them, you don't lead with, hey, I'm Viktor at Revenue Ramp. I help sales teams improve win rates or whatever. I'm going to lead with, hey, Lois, we connected on LinkedIn 3 months ago. It's Viktor from Revenue Ramp. Do you remember me? It's a much more warm way to reach out. And that's what we want to do with these social warming campaigns. So some of the ways you can build some familiarity is, again, landing in the notification section. You can do that by viewing someone's profile, although there's an asterisk here, because if you have a premium LinkedIn profile, non-premium LinkedIn profiles won't see that you viewed them. So I tend to skip this. However, you can follow them before connecting, like a couple of days prior, so you pop up multiple times. You can like their post, comment under their post, start a conversation in the comments under their post. It's a way better way to build a relationship than with cold emails. And it also gives you another opportunity to show that you know what you're talking about and that you're worth interacting with. Or if you see that they typically care about given content, you can tag them in the comments under others' posts. This is left to serendipity. I just wanted to leave it up as an example that you can consider. But what if they don't post? So then all of these go out the window. You can still follow them. You can engage with creators that they follow so that you always pop up in the comment section if they read that. You can create co-marketing materials with other creators that they follow. A really strong point to consider: social selling and community-led growth go hand in hand. So you can join communities that they are active on, like the La Growth Machines Playground, for instance, where specialists can talk to, or new users can talk to specialists and get best practices or share best practices. Engage with communities, because that's another way to build relationships from scratch. Then you're going to share content daily on relevant channels where they are active. And once you've built some relationships, you can even build familiarity through warm intros. So there are a lot of places where the lines are blurred between near bounding / warm intros, community-led growth, and social selling. We're not here to argue what is what, but to use them in combination to build familiarity in your audience before reaching out, so that your reply rates when doing cold outreach increase. That's basically the goal of our social campaigns. Now, one question that I mentioned in the very, very beginning that I get asked a lot: is social selling worth it if my audience isn't on LinkedIn? The answer is yes, but you should be active where your personas are active. So part of profiling your personas is which channels do they engage with most. If it's not LinkedIn, then you can skip LinkedIn. Just make sure that you look representable. But Reddit, paid communities, like I'm part of Pavilion, where I'm active regularly, the Growth Machines Playground, Reddit, Stack Overflow, Discord channels. All of these places are great places to show that you know what you're talking about, build an authority, and then give people a way to engage with more of your content, let's say with a newsletter or something else where you can nurture people through your content, which is the next step. I'm going to pause here for a second and see if there are any questions in the chat.
Yes, there is a question. So I display it in the screen. How to build familiarity when you are working for a B2B company as a marketer, not a sales. Does it involve to take the control of the CEO or the head of sales account because he's a marketer?
Yeah, I have seen companies use this approach. So let's say a virtual assistant or someone similar could take ownership of or could get access to the CEO's account, and then the CEO can focus on actually growing the business while a ghostwriter or a VA or a marketer makes sure that the CEO is represented and the content is shared. In that case, I guess the CEO would always validate if the content is right. After all, it's his or her brand that's on the line. But that's one good way to do that. Another way, again, when you're reaching out and building familiarity, two things help. Either they are familiar with the sender's name or the company name. So one thing that I sometimes do is whoever owns the LinkedIn, the company LinkedIn profile of the person, like I own mine, I can change over and interact with posts on behalf of my company profile. And then what happens? Now the person who posted has two notifications, one from the sales rep or whoever is representing the company, and the company profile as well. You're building familiarity with both, and a marketer could easily interact with multiple posts of a creator, for instance, if you want someone to recruit someone as an influencer for your influencer marketing campaigns, or it could be that you're running an account-based marketing campaign, and part of that is making sure that the company profile is interacting with the people, the key personas who are working at the account that your sales reps are trying to get into. All of these are about building familiarity. So really good question here.
Great. And Francois says in the chat, got it, thank you. I have a question. Maybe it's just in the next step. It's about content. You say share content daily. Pedro asks, how do you share content daily and where? But I think this is just after.
Yeah, I'm going to actually get into that right now and then jump back, because this is all I want to say about content. Again, it's not today's topic, but I have a 20-minute mini series on how I create my own content as a one-person business. And over the past 2 years, I created a system for myself where I get to spend 1 hour a day on content, and that's plenty enough. So you'll have the link here. It's uploaded to YouTube. And if you like it, give it a subscribe so I can continue growing on YouTube as well. But yeah, this is the fastest way I've seen to make sure that I have regular content going out on LinkedIn, for instance, in this case.
So you'll have this presentation with all the link right after by Viktor in a loop of mail, and also I will publish it in the Playground community. Can I ask a last question before we?
Yeah.
Gwenola asked, how can you follow all these steps, all these tips with everyone when run several campaigns with audience in the hundreds?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, how can you follow all these steps with everyone when you run several campaigns with hundreds of audiences?
I'm assuming it's running hundreds of agents. So
a lot of people in the audience
coordinate. Yeah.
running several campaigns. I think it's maybe a good transition to La Growth Machine.
Segmentation. Yeah. I know that the Growth Machine has talked about this a lot, so I'll just quote that. But I'm on the same mindset. Instead of running campaigns for hundreds of people at a time, you want the way to make it personal or the way to make your campaign seem personal on a contact level isn't always to write emails one-on-one, but you want to segment your list to such small list where the message you send out feels personal. And one way to do that, for instance, is I won't get into that because that's a completely separate topic. I have, if anyone's interested, reach out to me on LinkedIn and I can share specific examples, screenshots I've saved for myself on good segmented outreach that I got that feel personal, but I know that they were templates. But the long story short is segment your list to such niche use cases. So personas, use cases, triggers, and you'll get cohorts of even 20 or 30 people. And you now want to reach out to 300 people. Let's say you're going to run 10 parallel campaigns, and it will feel personal, and one person could actually own that outreach to those 300 people in this case. So that's the long story short.
Okay, maybe she asked because when you say engage with creators they follow, can seem difficult when you have a lot of people.
Oh, right. So if we're talking about engaging with people, yes, there are parts that we will be automating with in the next slide that I'm going to share. But the long story short is engaging with content of, let's say, other creators who people follow. I recommend following everyone who is a creator that you want to engage with on LinkedIn, and use a Boolean search. So you just go into LinkedIn search bar and use logical connectors, so and or not. So in my case, if I'm interacting with cold outreach posts, I could say cold call or cold email or outbound, and then hit enter, look for posts posted in the past 24 hours from people I follow. And now I'm listed all of the posts that other influencers have posted. And now I can just comment under each of them. So my face and my name and my first 80 characters of my tagline show up there. And that's all I care about. People following or people within my audience who follow these same creators are now getting familiar with my name, face, and tagline if they are watching or reading the comments. If that was the question, I hope that answered it.
Yes, and this type of posts of creators are the main entry to then export list of people who comment, who likes the post. This is also a way to build the audience list, starting by an active creator post.
Yeah, and what you just said, Alois, that's something that we'll cover in 2 minutes, because now we're at the final slides.
Yes.
This is the exact campaign that we're going to run, or a duplication of that. This is a campaign I ran a month ago. Just 67 people, and 47% accepted my connection requests. That's something I typically strive for. Write a custom note that shows that I bring some value to the table, so I'm giving them something worth connecting me with for. So typically I get acceptance rates above 40%. And then still I'm not going to pitch, I'm just going to build that relationship through nurturing with content, which we just talked about. So these are all the slides. Let's see how this looks like in action, unless there are some quick questions in the chat.
No, I think we can move on.
Cool. So who's using LGM already, and who isn't? Just we won't see the replies. I think.
Good question. I have used in the past. Yeah, maybe if you can say in the chat if you're, or I can launch a little poll fastly.
I'm just gonna to stay on track. I'm gonna give a brief overview of what we're seeing right now. Right now I'm in my LGM dashboard in the campaigns list. What I see here are all the things that you would be used to if you're using other sales engagement tools, like you would have your leads, your reports, your campaigns, your tasks, your inbox. LGM has a unified inbox, so you can once you get a reply, whether it's from email, social, or X, you see all your replies in a single place, so you don't have to switch back and forth. So all of these is what you see here. Then identities are the actual users that are running campaigns. This is what you're seeing right now. So even if you haven't used LGM before, that's what you are seeing. Now, what we will do is, I have two campaigns here, which are duplicates of the previous campaign. So you see how it's built up. First of all, how is it structured? Again, if you remember the best practices, I want to pop up in the notification sections as many times as possible during this warm-up campaign. So I'm again, what you see here is this is one day, this is another day, this is another day. So I'm going to start by liking a post. If I like a post, I might as well want to follow someone. So I'm actually mapping how I make decisions. If I want to follow someone, if I like someone's post, I might as well follow along. So that's what I'm also mapping when doing my social outreach campaign. Then I'm going to wait 2 days, because not everyone's using LinkedIn every day. So if your personas, let's say, are only active once every 2 days because you see how often they're posting or liking stuff on the platform, you can increase this to 15 days. So follow someone, wait 15 days, they got the notifications that you're following them, and only then send a connection request. In my case, I'm reaching out to sales folks, so they're going to be using a platform almost daily. So I'm going to wait 2 days after I follow. They've already gotten 2 new notifications from this phase. Then I'm going to add a connection request, and I always add a custom note, and I want to prove that I have something of value to give. So in this case, this is same as for the last campaign I ran. It's end of year, so trigger, it's end of year. People need to multi-thread so they don't lose accounts and or maybe get their hands on some end of year budget. So I have this resource on how to build prospecting lists for multi-threading. That's what I'm providing as value up front without asking for anything in return. A lot of people pitch in their connection requests. Hey, this is what I do. Do you need this? No one cares. They're going to get ignored. I'm leading with value. And then I'm just wishing them good luck. And then PS, why should they accept? Like, they have the resource. Why should they accept my connection request? Because I'm sharing similar content here every weekday. So if you like this, you're going to love this. I'm giving value twice, plus I'm being nice. This is the same format I use for almost all of my connection request notes. I'm just giving as much value as I can within those 250 characters, and that's why I get those 40+% acceptance rates. So question is, what is something similar of value that you can give someone so that in exchange they accept your connection request? Now you see a spoiler here. What I love is, again, I can map how I make decisions. Because now I'm going to wait 15 days, because not everyone's going to accept your connection request right away. Some people might, be skeptical, look at what you're posting. So maybe during this stage, you can add some more steps to like someone's content. As soon as they accept your connection request, whether it's right away, whether it's only 14 days later, it's going to still wait. LGM is going to wait 1 day, and then I'm going to send a follow-up, which is, I'm not sure you'll hear this, but this is a voice note of me saying, hey, do you like this? Now I don't know if this was audible, probably not. So what I asked is, did you see anything missing that would be worth to include in a future update that other sales reps could enjoy? That's what I asked. And I can make it personal by including a LinkedIn voice note. As a follow-up instead of just an additional text. It makes it seem like you just recorded that for one person. A lot of people are still not familiar that you can automate these voice messages. So that's a great feature to have within LGM. And then if they still didn't reply, again, I want them to reply. So they see me as a notification in their messages and in the notification section. So this is a basic campaign that I can run. How does this look like? So what I've already done is, first of all, you need your audience. So I have my leads list. I already added, imported a lead list here. So I have my audiences here. And this is one audience that I created in LinkedIn Sales Navigator here. So I have a custom list of accounts that I uploaded to Sales Navigator. I looked for my personas, only connections that haven't connected with me in the past, changed jobs recently, got promoted. So because they've already been with the company a while now, so I know that these people have been promoted and not changed companies. And I'm going to exclude a list that I've previously outbounded already. So I'm not reaching out to the same people with multiple different messages. This is a list of 33 people. I added them, I imported them as an audience. We'll look at how you can do this from scratch. But right now, what I'm going to do is go back to this campaign, make sure that I've already added the right audience. Yes, it's the right audience that I created today. This is where like naming conventions are really good to have, for instance, if you're not using that. And then all I'm going to do is launch this campaign. So if you're on the list, you'll start seeing engagements from me. I'm already running my campaign. Let's do that again, but this time from step by step. So for that, I have this second. Oh yeah, this is something that I wish LGM had, but there's a workaround. So I wish that I could A/B test different messages within the same campaign. But there's a workaround. I can just split my audience in two and duplicate this same campaign and just change the messaging. And then you'll still be able to see from your reports which messaging is converting better. So because of that, now I have this exact same steps, but this time I'm not sharing a prospecting resource. I'm going to share a closing resource. So let's see if this performs better. What I want to do first is import my audience. So for that, this is what Eloise called out 10 minutes ago. You can import your leads from either you can build your own prospecting list from LGM, which is a new feature. Go check that out. Similar to tools which you're already familiar with, probably like Apollo or any other engagement tool that also has like lead lists, for instance. Works exactly the same way, but in this case, it's LGM's database behind it. You can upload this from your CRM, import from CSV. But in this case, I want to use a LinkedIn import. And look how rich this is. I can export people who commented on a post, followed my company, attended an event, liked the post. Doesn't even have to be my post. Now, there's a caveat here. Just because someone liked the post isn't a reason for you to reach out. So the first thing you should always do is clean up that list, delete anyone or remove anyone who is not your persona or does not, or you can't really provide a reason or some form of value, because that's the fastest way to get ignored or even blocked. So always make sure that if you import a list, first thing is to clean that. So the only people you're reaching out to is people you can actually add value to. In this case, I have a LinkedIn Sales Navigator search. So I'm going to click this. I don't even have to open LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LGM does that for me, but in this case, I already built the list. So might as well use this. This is a second list, very similar. It's individual sales reps, so not managers. I made sure to exclude anyone who could be a potential competitor, so working as a consultant or advisor and is also a sales rep themselves. So I don't want to reach out to those people. Again, second or third degree connections, and I'm excluding previous lists that I've engaged with. I have 47 people here. All I have to do is copy this, paste it in here, import is starting. And this is going to take roughly, it already identified the 47 leads. I'm going to give this a name. So again, I'm sticking to my naming convention, and I saved this already here. I love naming conventions and organization. If you haven't notice that, by the way. So now I have a clear way of keeping track of my audiences. I'm going to leave this for a couple of seconds, then refresh it. Takes about 1 minute. If it's a larger list, then maybe 2 minutes to import everyone. But how many people can you actually import here? I think it's the total 2,500. Eloise, maybe you know the answer.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can import if you even have 2,500 LinkedIn hits, for instance, or you can import them in bulk, but it's not really worth it because you're going to do a whole lot of cleaning. So this is too much, but I definitely don't want to import more than maybe 200 people at the same time, because then how can I make sure that that campaign is going to be highly targeted? So the more people I send the same campaign to with the same messaging, the lower my reply rates, or connection, in this case, connection request accept rates going to be. It's not worth it. The whole point of running these social warm-up campaigns is to grow your audience, so you get the word, the message of whatever the value is that you're providing out there. So might as well segment your list a lot, save those lists so you're not reaching out to the same lists over and over again. You can just exclude the people you've already outreached, and then keep your messages fresh and targeted. So I'm going to go back here, refresh this, and hopefully still importing. Let's give it a couple of more seconds. The
Yes.
previous list I imported finished in.
It's perfect. We have a question. Juan asked, LGM can help me identify signals outside LinkedIn as well? Because we just show how to import people from LinkedIn as signals. I was starting to say to Juan that there is different integration like Clay or Busca, which are great to help identify signals outside LinkedIn in LGM. But maybe you have also another use case in mind, Viktor, to identify signals.
Yeah, so I personally I just started playing around with these two tools. I use two social listening tools to know, again, social selling and community-led growth go hand in hand. So how can you be at the right place at the right time? So for instance, two tools that I'm using, one is Gummy Search. They are a social listening tool for Reddit. So if you know what subreddits and Reddit channel and Reddit, so on Reddit, which subreddits your audience is active on, you can listen for certain keywords and get notified of where you need to be. But you won't be able to import users from Reddit into your campaigns. You can just drive traffic to your campaign. Let's see, in the meantime, the other tool is a tool called Octolens, and it's still importing the leads. Octolens, which is a social listening tool beyond Reddit. Again, these tools just help you know where the conversations are happening. If you can't export the contact list, at least you can drive traffic to places like your profile where you can then export lists from. I hope that answered the question. So right now, because we finally imported the 47 contacts, I have a new lead list, and I can find it with the naming convention. So going back to the campaigns, I'm going to use this campaign for the closing resource. What's different? Everything here is the same. The ad relation, in this case, I'm driving traffic to a blog post article. Now, ideally, if you paid the close attention in the previous one, I used the LinkedIn Smart Link. Smart Link is a trackable document that LinkedIn provides. So I know exactly when someone is clicking. So I can engage differently with someone who engaged with that content or hasn't. So if I was smart, I would have downloaded this blog post as a PDF and uploaded it as a Smart Link. In this case, I'll just drive traffic to my website. But again, the format is very similar. I'm sharing resources that help these reps with their end of year closing. And the LinkedIn voice note is, again, similar format wise, but I'm specifically asking, hey, are there any other closing tips that you think are useful that I could share later on. So again, I'm just building a relationship. That's the only difference. So what I have to do is make sure that I'm updating my audience, because this is from an old campaign. I'm gonna select this closing this closing list that I created. LGM will enrich these leads for me. So the really cool thing about LGM, yes, they won't enrich your leads with all the contact information out there, like let's say Clay would. But as you go through these steps, when you have an email step, they'll enrich their contact data with email information. If you have a cold call step, they'll fetch their phone numbers. And now with waterfall enrichment, you can use multiple providers and without having to know any technical stuff. LGM will just give you the contact information. So when it's time to call, you have their numbers at the ready. But this is how simple it was. I have the workflow ready. I have my audience. I'm going to run this campaign from this identity. So if you're managing multiple profiles, you can change between them. Content-wise, you can either generate content with AI or write your own personalized ones. Every action that LGM takes automatically gets sent to HubSpot, so I have zero administration as a sales rep. And as soon as someone replies, they get unenrolled from the sequence, and I'm ready to launch. Let's go. So just within the past 10 minutes, I started 2 social warming outreach campaigns, and I get to A/B test in roughly a week or 2 weeks which campaign is performing better. And I can be sure that these are highly targeted because I made sure when putting these lists together that these people are my audience. In this case, even, it was trigger-based because these people, if you remember, this was toggled on. These people actually visited my profile. I haven't connected with them yet, and they are not a competitor who's just doing their competitor research on my content, and they are a direct persona of mine, and I haven't outbounded them in the past. So it's highly targeted, intent-based campaign, and I'm adding with leading with a value. I'm giving them something that's going to be useful for them, and hopefully if they want to see more, they'll accept the connection request. Because this is the same campaign that I ran not so long ago, this social warming campaign, again, you'll see the exact stats. It was 67 people outbounded. One person was a direct connection, so wasn't contacted, and then in the end, almost 48% of the people accepted the connection request. Some of them I even started a conversation. Others, they're going to be lurkers, but in the first 2 weeks, they're going to get exposed to my content. So that's why it matters a lot that you're sharing content on the daily, so that once people accept your connection request, you constantly pop up, stay top of mind, that if it's topic that they care about, or if it's topic that they need more info on, you become the first person that comes to mind, and then they reach out to you. That's all, really. What questions do we have in the chat?
Yeah, we have a question of Sarah. Say, after building the relationship and doing this, what do you do in order to transform/convert? Do you just wait for them to come to you? Do you make another campaign, or do you steer the conversation toward the idea of a meeting?
Really good question. There are multiple things you can do, luckily. I'll give you one inbound example and one outbound example. One inbound example is after I connected with someone, this was from, again, community-led, but we connected on LinkedIn, and they saw my content daily. A week later, someone in their network posted on LinkedIn that they're looking for a sales trainer to hold demo training for their sales team. I didn't know about this because I didn't see this trigger. But that person who I connected with and gave them upfront value, they tagged me in the post, and that landed me an opportunity, and we jumped on a meeting 2 days later. So that's an inbound example. Of course, that that there's a luck factor there. So what can we do that's within our control? Another thing you can do is after 2 months. So most of the time when people are open to a meeting is 2 to 3 months after consuming my content. So people who either engage with the content, people who I connected with and they engage with my content, they're going to be the first people I reach out to. I would say something like, thanks for supporting the post. Did you see something that you could implement instantly, or was there some context that I can still help with? Notice that I'm not pitching. I'm probing. I'm doing some light discovery if this is top of mind, or they just like the content for some other reason. So that's the reason you can reach out to, or reach out to these people you connected with. Or what you will also see if you're using Sales Navigator, in the leads list, you have this automatically created list of people who recently accepted your connection requests or emails or responded to your emails. So you can reach out to these people by a cold call, for instance, if you set up a campaign with a cold call step. And again, this time it's a cold call, but warmer, because you're not reaching out with the message, hey, I'm named from company, this is what we do, is this relevant? I'm going to say, hey, name, it's Viktor from Revenue Ramp. We connected a while ago. Can I get 30 seconds to tell you why I called you specifically instead of just DMing you on LinkedIn? So it's a much more warm way to reach out to. They already accepted your connection request, might as well hear you out for that 30 seconds. That's the whole goal with our social warming campaigns, to reach out warm. And even if they never buy, and another way I use it for my outbound, let's say I booked a meeting with someone, but it wasn't the right time or there wasn't a need. If they had a good experience with me, if they got value from our interactions, I always ask for a referral. And just 2 hours ago, I had a call with an investor who also came in inbound after we met 6 weeks ago. I gave them value on that call and then asked, hey, so now that you know what I can help your portfolio with, is there anyone in your portfolio who is facing X and Y challenge? And they actually said that, yes, there are 2 that come to mind. Let me get back to you in the next 2 months. So this is a really good way. Again, this investor relation came from a community, like a live event that I attended. I connected with them instantly on LinkedIn while at the event. I continuously every day shared content on LinkedIn, so I stay top of mind. And last week, they reached out if I had time this week to talk about a specific topic. We did. I gave value, didn't ask for anything in return. I didn't pitch. But at the end, I asked, hey, so if this was useful, do you have others in your portfolio that could use this? Imagine if I tried the traditional way and just cold email this investor next to all of the startups that are trying to pitch them. I would have gotten lost in their inbox. But this way, because I'm using community-led growth and social selling, I get to start conversations, sometimes from inbound. But even if I do reach out, I already have familiarity. So they're much more likely to take a call with me. And that's the whole point of running social warming campaigns. You get to stand out from the crowd and beat the great ignore. That's basically it.
I hope, yes, Sarah says a great thank you. It's really useful. Juan asked, how important are communities for B2B, and what type of content can someone create in a community for B2B? It really, I can
Depends.
start.
Yeah.
As a community builder for a community, a B2B sales automation solution, it really depends of your persona, and you really have to try to figure it out with what is the challenge they have. You can even ask for the challenge they have. I also ask for. I launch polls. I ask open question. Sometimes I give a resource like 10 subject for your email, and people say, oh, it's really great, but do you have icebreakers templates? and I give icebreaker template and say, oh, it's really nice, but do you have LinkedIn voice note templates? And you really have to connect with your community, know what are the challenges are, launch polls, and yeah, you will know which content to create thanks to their insights.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because again, it all comes full circle. If you get insights from what your personas care about, you augment what you've already built as your persona profile. Use that for as content to both reach out as a social warming campaign or include content in your cold email campaigns, and use that same content or similar content to nurture the people who accepted your connection request. So when it's time to take action on a problem or challenge they're facing, you're the first people or company that comes to mind.
Exactly. And also, you can nurture your community or people who are engaged with your content on LinkedIn. You see, with the features import from LinkedIn, import people who engage on the post. It could be the competitors' post, the creators' post, but also yours. So it's a really good way to switch from inbound to outbound, saying, "Oh, you comment my post and you have my ebook," and after that, maybe wait 1 week and saying, "What do you think about my ebook? Did you have feedback?" And even 1 week after, I'm searching new subjects to deep dive in. Do you have different challenges, and do you have any ideas to give to inspire me? So yeah, and I think yes, communities are important for B2B because they are little circle, really engaging. Maybe they want to improve their skills, to help each other. So it's a great way to target really precise and relevant niche audience.
Do you have any
Um,
other questions
yeah.
in the chat?
Oh, I don't think so. May Andy say 4 steps: one, post content every day; two, engage with prospects; three, message them; and four, close. Yes, this is
Basically.
basically. Oh, oh, Juan say, what camera are you using? Because you're like looking
Yeah,
us in the eyes.
right. I use the same camera for my live streams as I am doing for my YouTube content. So I actually have a Sony ZV-E10 camera mounted to a teleprompter from Elgato. So you can just search Elgato prompter. It's not cheap, but if you're doing Zoom calls a lot, or you're doing live streams, or you're creating video content a lot, it's a huge difference. It makes a huge difference on making it seem like you're actually talking to the people on the other side of the screen versus looking at your screen while you're trying to maintain eye contact with them. So
Yeah.
not worth it for everyone, but if you are on Zoom calls a lot, maybe you're closing larger deals and you want to, build more trust, you do that with eye contact, and then getting a professional camera, getting a teleprompter could be worthwhile. Definitely
Great.
not for everyone.
Thank you very much, Victor, for all this richness, this content, this value. Hope everybody was, yeah, everybody found that really helpful. And I will display the recording on the playground. Victor, I let you transmit the slides to our audience. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Juan. Everybody says that it's a great content and a great live. So, Victor, thank you again for all your enthusiasm and also your generosity.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for organization. Thanks everyone for participating. See you.
Thank you. Bye.